Welcome to Healing from Emotional Abuse, the award-winning podcast that sheds light on the journey from victim to survivor. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this empowering and healing adventure. The Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast isn't just another conversation. It's a sanctuary for those who have endured abuse and are determined to reclaim their lives. Through interviews with inspiring survivors, experts, and advocates, we aim to break the silence surrounding abuse and empower our listeners with the knowledge, support, and resources they need to break free from their past. Our mission is to provide a safe space where survivors can share their stories, find solace in knowing they're not alone, and discover the strength within themselves to heal and thrive. Each episode is filled with powerful narratives, practical strategies, and compassionate guidance to help you overcome the lingering effects of abuse and build a brighter future. It brings me immense joy to announce that the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast has been honored with the prestigious Purple Ribbon Award for Outstanding Domestic Violence Podcasts by DomesticShelters.org, recognizing our commitment to raising awareness about abuse and offering hope to survivors worldwide. We have hit top 10% globally and top podcast in 25 countries. This accolade is a testament to the incredible guests who have shared their stories and the tremendous support from our devoted listeners. Thank you so much. Whether you're a survivor seeking healing, a friend or family member wanting to understand and support, or an advocate dedicated to creating a safer world, this podcast is for you. Our conversations delve into topics such as emotional, physical, financial, and psychological abuse, recovery techniques, self-care strategies, legal rights, and much more. Join us as we embark on this transformative journey together. Subscribe to Healing from Emotional Abuse on your favorite podcast platform. And remember, your story matters, and you have the power to break your silence from the chains of abuse. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and this is Healing from Emotional Abuse. Let's reclaim our lives and empower one another. Welcome back to the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and today we have an amazing guest. I'm so excited to talk to her, Robin McTague. She's the creator of A Life of Choice Coaching and Consulting. She helps individuals, couples, and teams navigate the complexities of their personal and professional relationships through a unique blend of proven strategies, empowering clients to uncover the drivers behind their behavior, address conflicts head on, and cultivate thriving relationships with themselves and others is her MO. So welcome on, Robin. I'm so excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I kind of jokingly say I came from a dysfunctional family with a capital D. So my mom was suicidal. So the first time I remember her attempting suicide, I was 4. And so I took a lot of responsibility on at a young age. I kind of became the parent and didn't really have much of a childhood. And then my dad was an alcoholic, rageaholic, sexual abuser. And so I had that too. So I never felt like I was really supported as a kid. And then my mom and we left my dad and brother when I was just turning 6. And we went to Manitoba where her parents were, and being immigrants, and they never spoke any English. They were Ukrainian. And I was playing across the street. And again, ambulance came, and I'm sure her parents told her, you're married, and they were Catholic and Orthodox, all those things, go back. There wasn't any supports for women at that time. And so I was in shock. And then I ended up living with cousins for a year. while she was in hospital. And then we got back together and lived with other families. So I really shut myself down emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I didn't really know how to be other than quiet. So I just kind of took to books and kind of went very insular and didn't really, know how to be social with people very much. And plus we lived in a lot of very small places. And so then as a teenager, crying for help really, but I got into drugs and alcohol, and it was just experimental. I feel really fortunate that, I'm promiscuous, which is pretty common with people with that kind of upbringing. And I survived. I didn't feel I needed it anymore. I found a foster family to live with when my mom decided to move again, because hers was a geographical cure. Not happy, move somewhere else. And I made friends. We were in some place for a few years, and I didn't want to move for my last couple of years of high school. So I moved in with a family and finally felt more accepted for who I was. But still, all those challenges continued. And so I got married and kind of repeated the pattern despite learning psychology and counseling and all these things. But I didn't deal with the emotional piece at that point. And so the person looked different, but the emotional pattern was there. So he would not say anything that was bothering him. And then the anger would build up and there'd be an explosion. And we would go through the cycle over and over again. And finally, the last straw was he kind of threw me out the door, grabbed my wrist, threw clothes after me, and locked me out of the house after throwing the dinner on the stove around the kitchen.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so it's like I had to say, well, if we're going to start from scratch again, are you the person I want to be with? And it's like there was no trust there. And I'd shut myself down even more. He was a really high-class athlete, did amateur golfing. And so I was alone all the time because he was off golfing all weekend besides the work. And then 23 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that's when I started to do the deeper dive into all the emotions that were repressed.
Wow. So that's a really devastating childhood that young you were already, hit head on with so much trauma, and assume the responsibility for your family. I mean, that had to be really heavy. How did that play into you choosing your husband?
Well, before that, I would basically go out with people who are more in the artsy kind of area. And so it was like often there was, drinking and those kinds of things, the starving artist or whatever it was. And I'd been with someone for a couple years and we just became like roommates, but he was wanting to be more involved socially with like parties and his writing and stuff like that. And plus, he actually wrote about a situation from our life that was really embarrassing to me. And because we had this big blow up about privacy issues because I didn't know how to set boundaries. And so I was really lonely. And, I lived up actually on a mountain and I'd always been going to school at night and bettering myself. So I never really had a social life. And because I moved around so much as a kid, that was just normal for me. And so I met this person at a bar and he seemed different. I really liked his family. His mom was really independent, had raised 3 kids on her own, and we really connected, and I loved his sisters. But, he was the athlete, so everything went to him. And it's like there was no responsibility on his part. He just took everything because that's the way he was brought up. Mm-hmm. And so it looked different. I didn't realize that emotional pattern. And I had clues, but I ignored them. He decided he wanted to get married in the States where his dad lived. And his dad didn't have the even courtesy to ask, should I come to Canada? And his mom was devastated because she was Canadian, so he had dual citizenship. And she was the one that raised him and did everything. And it really hurt her that we went down there. But we were sitting there. I was in my house coat, and he got angry about something and grabbed the house coat and kind of shook me. And you'd think that would be a clue, but it just didn't register at the time. And so, that pattern was there. That was normal to me, that anger, because that's what I was around.
Yeah. And when you're raised in a volatile environment with a lot of turmoil and an alcoholic father who you said also became abusive, rageful, and like violent, or could have been, all that stuff is very normal and you don't see it. And so everyone else kind of passes judgment on that. And they're like, well, when he grabbed you by the coat and shook you, how didn't you see it? Well, like you said, it's normal.
Yeah.
So, wow. So tell me about like the healing process. So when you left your husband, ex-husband, when you left him, what did the next few years look like for you?
Yeah. So leading up to that, he'd actually had a blow up with a colleague of his on the golf course. And so we went for some counseling because of the anger, but he didn't follow through as usual. So he was given the workbook and all of that about anger and didn't do it. But I started to do deeper work and went to an 8-week group on sexual abuse and different things. So I started to deal with the emotional part. So in that 3-year phase, I'd gotten stronger. So that gave me the strength to leave. And then it was, who am I? What's going on? And, I actually thought we could stay friends. And he had come over when I got into my apartment and to help me with something. And he was still trying to control me. And I finally had the strength to say, you're still trying to control me. We're not even together anymore. So we can't stay friends. I can't do it. It's just not going to work. And, I had friends from work then. And so I had a bit more of a social life and started to get back into the things I loved. Like I'd stopped going to the live theater that I really enjoy. And so I started to look at what are my passions are again, and doing more training and different things, more personal work. And I just kind of went along, and then the cancer came. And because what had happened is I started doing everything, like keeping that, learning about myself, but not going to the depth that I needed to with the emotional piece. So what happened was I was doing my full-time job. I was doing the union work on the side. I was doing the strata council. I was doing everything, but I was running, I was eating healthy, all of those things, but the stress level and the emotional part hadn't been dealt with. And, cancer stopped me in my tracks. And I really had to look at, how did I get here? And do I want my life to be the same? Do I want to carry on like this? And I basically spent 6 months on my sofa, just going deep within and feeling the fear that if I go into the emotions, I'll never get through the other side, but willing to take that risk, and then realizing it comes in waves. You deal with kind of something, you deal with the emotion, and then you have kind of some peace and calm. So it was a way for me to learn that I could do that. And I had tapped into that spiritual part of myself. I was just kind of coming into that, because when I was going to the cancer agency, I would see energy. Before I was diagnosed, I was hearing messages in my head about something big in my life was going to change. And I didn't know what that was till the cancer diagnosis. So I was kind of starting to open. And then through that process, I started to look at going back to work. And I thought, how can I be around all these stressed out people again? And I found someone at a wine, cheese, and tarot card reading party that said, there's this course that you can take with energy shields. And I jumped in right away. And I teach that energy healing to adults and kids now, because it really saved my life. I was able to learn what's mine and what's someone else's, and not just absorb it all, and start to really find those answers within, and a safe way for me to learn to express my emotions, see those emotional patterns, and unravel some of that stuff from that inner child that had been so hurt.
That's incredible that you literally took all of this trauma and you basically repurposed it into a way to help people. That's awesome. And I love it when people can do that. They take their trauma and use it for good, as opposed to letting it define them. So tell me about, I know you were talking a little bit about it, but tell me what you do for people in that spiritual healing realm. Like, what is it like to work with you?
Yeah, so depending on how open people are, like the work with the meditation and healing system, it's an active style. So we actually go in and do things like connect with the inner child, connect with our spiritual guides, dream interpretation, truth-telling systems, all sorts of really fun things. So if people are ready for that, great, come and do that with me. If not, if you want to start on a bit more cerebral level, we start with the motivational map to helps us to see what are the things that energize me and what are the things that kind of sap my energy. And through there, we can also look at where are those internal conflicts. What are the things I say I want, but then I find I go 2 steps forward, 3 back, because there's something going on within those motivators within me. So we sort through that. And then the Enneagram work, we can figure out what is that starting point. We have bits of all 9, but we have one main one that is kind of direct path for growth. And just learning that to see how we see the world. Like for me as a 6, that pattern around the fear, understanding what support is, because I didn't know what that was huge for me. And then if people want to go deeper with that, we can do shadow work to bring up those parts of ourselves that we've said, no, I don't want to look at that, and it's not safe right now, so I ignore it, but it's running the show unconsciously. And this is part of the reason why we self-sabotage and do some of those things. So depending where people are at, like I like to customize it to where people are, because some people are ready for certain things and other people need to take it slower. So it's always about where people are at and what's what they want out of it.
That's amazing. So does your work, have you seen it be very impactful for our demographic?
Absolutely. Because one of the biggest things that happens with abuse is secrets. And, if it's not secret, it can't have that hold on us. When we can be honest with ourselves, what the impact was, how it's still reaching us today, and really bring those unconscious patterns forward in a safe way, then we can start to release it and look at the layers. Because often we're not ready to look at the anger. We need to get through the sadness. We need to go through the grief. And, as a society, we deal so poorly with grief and anger to begin with. People don't want to see it. So, of course, it's going to be a challenge. And just normalizing that someone else has been through it, it's possible, to give that hope. That's one of the reasons I used to love doing the volunteer work with the breast cancer, is because people see you as a hope. When I've been 23 years post-cancer, it gives them hope.
I love that. I think hope is one of the strongest tools we can give somebody, because it gives them the motivation to want to continue, right? Introducing For Survivors by Warriors, empowering merchandise for self-love and support. Are you ready to embrace your inner strength, show your resilience, and support a worthy cause? Look no further than For Survivors by Warriors, a remarkable collection of merchandise designed by survivors to uplift, inspire, and promote self-love. At For Survivors by Warriors, we believe that survivors are warriors, deserving of recognition, support, and healing. Our merchandise is a powerful reminder of your incredible journey and the strength within you. Each item is thoughtfully crafted to embody the spirit of empowerment, resilience, and triumph. But it doesn't stop there. We are committed to truly making a difference beyond our merchandise. That's why we pledge to donate 20% of the proceeds from every purchase to domestic violence organizations. By choosing For Survivors by Warriors, you're not just wearing a symbol of self-love and affirmation. You're actively contributing to the fight against domestic violence and supporting those in need. Explore our collection and discover an array of products designed to celebrate your journey and inspire others. From comfortable and stylish apparel to accessories that remind you of your worth, each item is infused with the powerful affirmation and messages of self-love. Whether it's a cozy hoodie, a statement necklace, a pair of shoes, or a daily affirmation journal, our merchandise is a tangible reminder of your strength and resilience. And that's not all. We understand the importance of customization, and that's why we offer personalized options, allowing you to create a unique piece that speaks directly to your experience. Choose your favorite affirmation, add a meaningful date, or even include your own empowering message. The possibilities are endless. When you wear a For Survivors by Warriors, you're not just making a fashion statement. You're joining a community of survivors, supporters, and advocates. You're showing the world that self-love and empowerment are essential components to the healing process. So why wait? Visit our Etsy shop today at www.etsy.com/shop/For Survivors by Warriors. That's www.etsy.com/shop/4 survivors SURVIVORS by BY Warriors WARRIORS forsurvivorsbywarriors.com and explore our exceptional collection of empowering merchandise. Together, let's wear our strength, support survivors, and make a lasting impact in the fight against domestic violence. For Survivors by Warriors, empower yourself, inspire others, and be the change. So thank you for doing what you do. I think that's fantastic. So give me what's a piece of advice that you would give to survivors to help them through their healing journey?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is it's hard, but we can't really take things personally. And because we have parts of ourselves that maybe are hidden or wounded or sore, that kind of toothache thing, we see it out here in the world. And so we take things personal that weren't really meant that way. Something's going on with that other person. And we also have energetic connections. So we see out in the world what's going on within us. So when we can see, maybe it's not so much that they're trying to tell me something that's wrong with me. Maybe it's about something within me around that value that I didn't feel, that I have to yet learn about, because we all have these challenges. It's just to what degree. So first thing is really seeing, can I take the breath? And instead of going into the reactivity, can I, if I need some time out, maybe at work, I need to go to the washroom, or I'm with someone and it's like, I'm just feeling like things are not going well right now. I need to go home, or I need to take a break, or whatever. So giving ourselves the grace and the kindness to give ourselves the space when we need it, and to be honest about that instead of making excuses, right? Because that's what we normally do. We want to be nice to people. We can be the nicest, angriest person. because it doesn't feel safe to do that. So learning boundaries, that's one of the first things we usually talk about. Most people, especially with abuse, have not learned boundaries. So learning to say that there's something between yes and no, that there's a maybe. I need time to consider that. Learning to be gracious to say, yeah, I'm interested, but it doesn't fit with what I'm doing right now or the time commitment it needs, because often we're the overcommitted.
Or the people pleaser. So even just knowing how to say no and that it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the kind of mantra that I learned from conflict resolution is be curious, all behavior makes sense. So not just for ourselves, but for others. So what's going on with them, right? So often we're looking at as at a reflection of ourselves, because the shame and blame that we took on is really deep. And so our heart is kind of sore in that area. So it's like, I'm taking that on personally, but what if I can step back a bit and be curious about what's going on for them? Like, what are they actually wanting me to hear? Maybe I'm feeling I have to protect myself, so I'm not really hearing it all. And so that curiosity goes both ways. And then, I find journaling, if you're interested in that, or doing something where you start to connect with that voice of curiosity within yourself. Like just even taking a day. So often we're the doers. So it's like, how about I give myself the day off? I'm just going to learn to tap into the energy within myself. What do I want to do next? And decide in the moment. And that was a really tough one for me, because not having a real childhood where I just kind of played. What's fun? I'm serious all the time. How do I have fun? So, and that's why I love theater and different things where it helps to bring up emotions and I feel connected, and different things like that, and music and dancing and different things to really get our body involved, because there's always a somatic piece that we have to deal with when it comes to these kind of situations. And the biggest piece is knowing who we are, doing those layers to the core of, who am I really without all of this stuff? And that really takes our lifetime, no matter whether you've had trauma or not, but it's just more layers when we've had all this other stuff imposed upon us.
How did you determine, because truthfully, you didn't even have time to create an identity as a child. So how did you as an adult kind of backtrack and like fully get to know yourself, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I would say one of the hardest things for me was to connect with that inner child. I went into the training and the meditational work, and we start right at the beginning within the first 4 weeks of connecting to that little one within, and the different challenges that they had. And mine was so angry at me, she didn't even want to talk to me. So that was a real learning to be open to see, because our little ones don't get witnessed in who they are and what happened. So I had to build a lot of trust with her to be able to talk to me, to find out what was going on, because usually it's our little ones running the show, because, they're defiant, they're this, they're that, because they haven't had that chance to be heard and seen. So that was kind of a big piece for me, is getting in touch with that so that I could understand what was holding me back and seeing what those fears were around. And yeah, it can feel like life and death. So really finding that support that you need, realizing that, yeah, we're all going through it. So, I did workshops, I did learned about the patterns around abuse, and how when we can tell our stories, how powerful that is. Like what you're doing is really powerful, because then we can be seen and heard for who we are. And then the Enneagram work has been really profound for me, to really see what is that way I look at the world. How do I filter and focus on one particular thing? instead of seeing, oh, yeah, these are other options. And so bringing in more options for myself instead of just, oh, yeah, that's my automatic way to do it. But seeing, we have a huge inner critic. All of us, some have more than others, but learning to make friends with it, to question it. And even though my automatic response might be more negative sounding, I can just say, well, yeah, that's not really what I believe. So I can go to somewhere else. We can't get rid of those thoughts necessarily, but we can override them with something else or neutralize them. And I know some people, I have them name it. For some people, oh, that's my friend John. And yeah, he's got something to say again. So it's just like casual. So it's not like running the show anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's a really interesting way to do that, but I really like it. And I kind of want to try it. See what my inner child has to tell me. She's probably, to be fair, I've always been a very defiant child. And then like while I was going through my abuse, that went away and got silenced and came back with a vengeance after I started healing. So my inner child would probably be really confused. But thank you so much for all the information that you gave and for being so candid and honest with us. It's really inspiring to hear people taking these horrible, traumatic experiences and repurposing them and doing good and helping this community, because I think that we really need more people speaking about what happened and taking their lives back. It has taken so long for us to get to this point, and it's time for everyone who's experienced this to feel empowered to speak out, to move forward with their life. So thank you very much for being here today and for sharing your life with us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing your podcast. Really important.
Oh, absolutely. I love this. How can people get in touch with you if they'd like to work with you in coaching?
I'm in Canada, so it's alifeofchoice.ca. People automatically go to the .com, so it's .ca, alifeofchoice.ca. And I'll give you a link for a meditation if people want to download it. It's on relationships. And so it's something that you can do time and time again. It's fairly long, like 15 minutes. So it's like something you can sit down. And in there, I even say, if you feel comfortable going this far today, then you can end for today. So I like to build in a lot of safety around what I do.
That's amazing. Yes, please send me the link. I'll throw it in the show notes. So anybody listening that wants to participate in this meditation, I think that'd be amazing. And I will also put your alifeofchoice.ca link in the show notes. Thank you again so much for being here. And you are welcome back anytime. Anytime you'd like to come back, we'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this empowering episode of Healing from Emotional Abuse. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to support your journey towards healing and growth. We want to express our deepest, heartfelt gratitude to all of our incredible guests who have continued to bravely share their stories, as well as to our devoted listeners who have supported us on this remarkable adventure. Your unwavering commitment to breaking the silence and healing from emotional abuse, surrounding abuse and sexual assault, and promoting a world free from violence is truly commendable. We would also like to remind you that in addition to the podcast, we offer personalized one-on-one and group coaching services to support your healing journey. Our compassionate and experienced coaches are here to provide guidance, tools, and a safe space for you to explore your path towards empowerment and well-being. Visit our website at www.coachingwithmarissa.com. That's www.coaching, COACHING, with WITH, Marissa, MARISSA.com to learn more and book a coaching session. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Reach out to support networks, seek professional help, and always remember your worth and strength. only about 7% of survivors seek resources. We need to up that number. Healing is possible, and together we can break the chains of abuse and build a brighter future. We invite you to stay connected with us on social media to continue the conversation and receive updates on future episodes, resources, and community events. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and ask Marissa at www.marissafaycohen.com. That's www.marissa, Marissa, Faye, Faye, Cohen, Cohen.com. Thank you once again for being a part of our community, and remember, your story matters. Let's continue to uplift, inspire, and empower one another. This concludes another transformative episode of Healing from Emotional Abuse. Until next time, I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and together we can live free, confident, and peaceful lives after abuse and assault.